Tonight, the breaking news as we come on the air in the West involving the American hostages and this ceasefire. We'll go live to Tel Aviv. Also, President Biden addressing the nation just moments ago. Also tonight, the new extreme fire danger in Southern California, what they're saying as we head into the night. And the news coming in tonight, the airline pilot arrested for alleged DUI at the airport. First tonight, this breakthrough ceasefire deal in the Middle East after 15 months of war. Israel and Hamas agreeing to a deal tonight. Hamas set to release 33 hostages, including some Americans. President Biden tonight saying his team working closely with President-elect Trump's Mideast envoy. Biden saying with one voice. We're live in Tel Aviv. How soon could the hostages be freed? And the families with hope and fear. They don't know which hostages are dead or alive. The deal comes as President Biden addressed the nation tonight just a short time ago, suggesting to Americans history is now in your hands. Also, as we come on the air tonight, the Los Angeles area on high alert for new wild. Tonight, the breaking news as we come on the air in the West involving the American hostages and this ceasefire. We'll go live to Tel Aviv. Also, President Biden addressing the nation just moments ago. Also tonight, the new extreme fire danger in Southern California, what they're saying as we head into the night. And the news coming in tonight, the airline pilot arrested for alleged DUI at the airport. First tonight, this breakthrough ceasefire deal in the Middle East after 15 months of war. Israel and Hamas agreeing to a deal tonight. Hamas set to release 33 hostages, including some Americans. President Biden tonight saying his team working closely with President-elect Trump's Mideast envoy. Biden saying with one voice. We're live in Tel Aviv. How soon could the hostages be freed? And the families with hope and fear. They don't know which hostages are dead or alive. The deal comes as President Biden addressed the nation tonight just a short time ago, suggesting to Americans history is now in your hands. Also, as we come on the air tonight, the Los Angeles area on high alert for new wildfires. The Palisades fire, 19% contained. And the families tonight trying to find a home, a place to rent. So much need, and now the rent's skyrocketing. The warning tonight about price gouging. The heated questioning on the Hill, President-elect Trump's Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi pressed if the Justice Department will have a list of enemies. What she declared today, Republicans defending her. And in a rare moment in this political climate, the nominee earning praise from both sides of the aisle. A major decision tonight by the FDA, the additive that was banned years ago in cosmetics and topical drugs, tonight now banned in food. Red dye number 3. What is it? Potentially linked to cancer. And why did it take years after it was banned in topical drugs? Tonight, news coming in on that passenger jet pilot arrested at the airport for DUI. The dangerous cold in the Northeast, and now the entire region bracing for even colder weather coming. Tonight, the Chinese company behind TikTok now reportedly threatening to block millions of American users if this ban goes into effect on Sunday. Tonight, the break-in at another sports star's home. Tonight, his 3 Stanley Cup rings are now missing. And America Strong tonight, we celebrate our firefighters and what's happened at one firehouse alone in just 1 year. This will have you smiling over and over and over again.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. It's great to have you with us here tonight. We do begin here with the breaking news involving the hostages, Americans among them. Israel and Hamas agreeing to a ceasefire tonight. The framework for this deal would begin on Sunday. It comes 15 months after Hamas's horrific attack on Israel. And tonight, these families have hope, but they are also filled with fear. They do not know if their loved ones will come home alive. President Biden announcing the deal, a multi-step framework based on a potential deal he first introduced last May, negotiated with Qatar and Egypt's help, and in recent days with President-elect Donald Trump's Mideast envoy. President Biden said today they all used one voice. In Israel tonight, families of hostages gathering in Tel Aviv. Our correspondent was right there. They hope their loved ones will come home alive. And the celebrations and the relief on the streets of Gaza tonight, hoping much-needed help for civilians will now make it in. Again, Americans are among the hostages, and our foreign correspondent Tom Soufi Burridge was right there in Tel Aviv. He's there live tonight in what's called Hostage Square, where families were gathered when this news broke. Tom?
Yeah, David, we were here when families got the news that finally, after more than 460 days, there was a deal. Take a look behind me. This is a makeshift tunnel, the type of tunnel that the hostages have been held in. These faces a daily reminder of the missing. But families don't know tonight whether or not their loved ones are dead or alive, and that includes Americans. A sense of relief in the streets of Tel Aviv and Gaza tonight, after Israel and Hamas agreed to a ceasefire with the release of dozens of hostages still held inside Gaza in exchange for hundreds of Palestinians freed from Israeli prisons. Starting this Sunday and over the next 42 days, Israeli troops will withdraw their forces to a buffer zone around the Gaza Strip, halting military operations for the release of 33 hostages, starting with all women, children, elderly and the sick and injured. The pause in fighting would allow desperately needed humanitarian aid to flood into Gaza and allow negotiations to begin for a long-term ceasefire. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who approved the deal, will now seek the green light from his security cabinet before going to his wider government. Barring any legal objections, the IDF would start receiving hostages in what they're calling Operation Wings of Freedom. Among those that could be released in Phase 1, 2 of the 7 Americans captured and believed to still be alive. Sagi Decherchen, a father of 3, and Keith Siegel, a North Carolina native. Edan Alexander, a dual American citizen, was serving in the IDF and stationed in southern Israel the morning of October 7th. While it's believed Edan won't be released in the first round, his father speaking just hours ago and saying he's never lost hope.
Unfortunately for the families that are waiting for their loved ones to be buried in Israel, the nightmare is over as well.
Gil Dickman, cousin of hostage Carmel Gat, killed in captivity in Gaza, praising President-elect Trump.
I think Trump was the X factor in bringing this deal to life.
The framework of the deal, spearheaded by the Biden administration, Qatar and Egypt, has been on the table since May. But after Trump's election victory in November, there was renewed momentum to close the agreement.
I knew this deal would have to be implemented by the next team, so I told my team to coordinate closely with the incoming team to make sure we're all speaking with the same voice, because that's what American presidents do.
With just days before he takes office, Trump calling it an epic agreement. This deal, a major promise for the president-elect.
If the deal isn't done before I take office, which is now going to be 2 weeks, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
The deal, the first truce since December 2023, now puts Israel and Hamas one step closer to ending a 15-month war that began early on October 7th when Hamas fighters brutally kidnapped and killed more than 1,200 Israelis. Following the horrific attack, an unrelenting assault launched by Israel. Entire areas reduced to rubble. To this day, more than 46,000 Palestinians have been killed. Back here in Hostage Square, where so many have pushed the government for a deal, heartbreak amid the celebration.
The deal that they're signing is very much the same deal that they had in May. Carmel was there on the list for the very first phase, and they didn't sign it in time.
And David, Netanyahu speaking to both President Biden and President-elect Donald Trump about the deal. But many people we've spoken to tonight are worried. They're not confident this initial ceasefire will lead to phases 2 and 3 of the deal and lasting peace in Gaza. David?
Well, that makeshift tunnel, Tom, and those faces of all of those loved ones, it's a stark reminder of the more than 400 days that these families have been waiting for news, and let's just hope their loved ones come home alive. Thank you, Tom, who was right there today when this broke. Let's get right to our chief foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell, also in Tel Aviv tonight. A question for you, Ian, as well, and it's what so many are asking tonight. How will the incoming administration and Mideast leaders keep this tentative ceasefire going beyond this very tentative first phase?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of ground is being covered, but there's a far more ground that still has to be covered. I think a lot of mixed emotions this evening on both sides, but an overwhelming sense of relief that this could be the start of the end of the war in Gaza and here in Tel Aviv. We saw people out on the street, some celebrations, but the devil's in the details of this agreement. And I think the toughest part of the negotiation does lie ahead for the incoming Trump team, not least who is going to run Gaza when and if Israeli troops fully withdraw. David?
Our chief foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell, with us here tonight as well. Ian, thank you. We do have one more question on this tonight because President Biden delivered his farewell address to the nation just a short time ago. So let's bring in Mary Bruce tonight. Mary, the president talked about this ceasefire and this deal to bring the hostages home, something he worked on for months. And the deal, of course, coming with just days left in his administration.
David, President Biden and his administration worked tirelessly for months to reach this agreement. It was his top priority before leaving office.
This plan was developed and negotiated by my team and will be largely implemented by the incoming administration. That's why I told my team to keep the incoming administration fully informed, because that's how it should be, working together as Americans.
David, the timing of this deal is certainly hard to ignore. It's coming together just days before Trump takes office and as he made those threats. Now, President Biden did bring the Trump team into these final negotiations. And while tonight Donald Trump is taking credit, the White House insists it was President Biden who got it done. David.
Yeah, Mideast negotiators thanking President-elect Trump there today in Qatar as well. Praise for both administrations in these final days here. Mary, thank you. We turn to the other news tonight, the wildfire emergency in California, the Los Angeles area on high alert for new wildfires. Thousands of firefighters now stationed across the fire zone, ready to jump on any new flare-ups, any new sparks. And with more than 12,000 homes and structures now gone, the new challenge tonight, rents are now skyrocketing. With so many families looking to rent a home, to find a home, the crush of need and rents are jumping. Authorities are warning against price gouging tonight and this evening, what they're saying with these winds. Back up and on the scene for us again tonight.
Tonight, with that fire danger looming, families in Southern California are shell-shocked and worried a new inferno could break out.
They've got everything prepared. You can see the monumental amount of resources. A fire truck here, one tucked in there, another one in that driveway, 5, 6, and on down almost every block as fire trucks here in this canyon.
Today we spoke with LA County Fire Chief Anthony Maroney.
There is another Santa Ana wind event forecast for next week.
Yes. The LA County Fire Department's going to be ready.
Across the fire zone, at least 24 still missing tonight. Meanwhile, thousands of displaced families are struggling to find shelter. Rents skyrocketing.
My son keeps asking me, when are we going to stop moving? And I don't have an answer for it.
After the Eaton fire destroyed her family's Altadena home, Erica Lee telling our Jacqueline Lee she's seen the price gouging firsthand.
How quickly are these listings getting taken off the market?
I've reached out to a couple places and a lot of them have already been taken. And one of them that I applied for upped the rent $1,000 an hour after I applied.
LA's district attorney demanding it stop.
So not only are you going to be looking at criminal penalties, you will be looking at civil penalties. You will be publicly shamed.
And today, children whose elementary schools burned down in the Palisades fire welcomed to new ones.
We're excited. I'm really thankful for Brentwood opening their doors, and I feel like it's been really helpful.
But it's not school that's on their minds or even the Play-Doh in 9-year-old Charlotte Owens' hands. Her home has smoke damage.
I had to spend my birthday under a vacuum.